The morning began not with serenity but with noise, an orchestra of market voices clashing in the humid dawn air. Vendors shouted over one another, their calls tumbling into a wall of sound that seemed to make the very ground vibrate. Amid this chaos walked Diep, her back bowed slightly under the weight of pineapples piled neatly in her basket. Each fruit gleamed in the pale sun, golden, rough-skinned, resilient. Much like her. At her stall, she arranged the pineapples with practiced care. It was a ritual she had repeated so many mornings that it should have felt automatic. But today, every motion felt heavier. Perhaps it was because James, her husband, was gone again, whisked away on business in the still hours before dawn. His absence left a silence in her chest where his presence once steadied her. Her voice rose above the market chatter, soft but insistent. Pineapples, sweet pineapples. Each call was more than a sales pitch. It carried with it the subtle ache of survival. Strangers stopped, exchanged coins, and moved on. To them, she was just another vendor. But inside her, every pineapple sold was a piece of her resilience, a fragment of her strength traded for another day's endurance. When the last fruit was gone and the day's earnings folded into her pocket, Diep exhaled. The market noise still swirled around her, but she had survived another morning. A visit to James's mother. Instead of heading home, Diep walked to another doorstep, the home of James's aging mother. The old woman's frame was bent, her eyes alight with warmth that even time could not extinguish. James left at 3 in the morning, she said softly, her words quivering like leaves in restless wind. She spoke of her son with both pride and worry, her voice betraying the loneliness she tried to hide. Diep listened, nodding with quiet reassurance, though her own heart echoed the same unease. She promised to return often, to sit with the old woman, to keep her company when the house felt too empty. They spoke of health, of rest, of the small duties of care. At the threshold, the woman's trembling arms wrapped around her, her whisper urging, "Stay strong." "Protect yourself." Those words lingered as Diep walked home, echoing like a gentle command. The cry on the roadside. The road curved through trees and dust when a sound broke her steps. A child sobbing, raw, piercing, desperate. There, huddled by the roadside, was a little girl. Her face streaked with tears, her small frame curled in on itself as if trying to disappear. Diep knelt, her voice soft. "What's wrong, little one?" Between broken sobs came the truth. Her mother had not come back. She had waited and waited until her hope dissolved into tears. And now, she was alone. Diep's chest tightened. She could not walk away. With the help of another passerby, she took the girl to the police. At the station, questions rained down. Her mother's name, her father's, her home. But the child's answers were fragments, swallowed by grief. No records matched. No door opened. The officers turned to Diep with an unusual request. Would she take the child in, just until the family was found? The girl clung to her sleeve, her eyes begging without words. Diep hesitated for only a heartbeat. Then she nodded. She could not abandon her. A new beginning. The farm welcomed them with its endless rows of pineapples, smelling of earth and sun. Diep placed a small hat on the girl's head to shield her from the harsh rays. Together they worked, Diep patient, the girl clumsy but eager. Their laughter rose, timid yet real, softening the shadows of absence. At the market, the girl echoed Diep's calls, pineapples, sweet pineapples. Strangers smiled, drawn to the innocence in her voice. Business improved. For a while, life felt less cruel. At night, they cooked simple meals. The girl spoke of her mother through trembling words and quiet tears. Diep held her small hands and whispered promises. We will find her. You are not alone. Whispers and doubts. Days turned into weeks. The bond between them deepened. Yet shadows crept in. At the market, whispers followed Diep. Some praised her kindness, others gossiped cruelly about her absent husband, about the child clinging to her side. She lifted her chin and ignored them. But at night, their words replayed in her mind, cutting her resolve. Then came the storm. Rain lashed the roof, lightning split the sky. The child sobbed in terror, clinging to her. Diep whispered promises, though her own fear roared louder inside. That night, she made a vow. No matter what comes, I will not let this child fall. The bond that felt like family. Morning mist draped the fields as they worked side by side. The child's laughter pierced the fog, making the farm feel less lonely. At the market, she charmed strangers into buying more than they needed. Coins filled a small jar on their shelf, a fragile proof that they could survive. In the evenings, the girl helped in the kitchen, spilling water, giggling at her mistakes. For fleeting moments, it felt like family, but then came the relentless questions at dinner. When will my mother come? Did she forget me? Diep's heart broke with every word. She held the child's face in her hands and whispered, I don't know. But I promise you this, I will never leave you. You are safe with me. Fate's return. And then, one ordinary market day, fate returned. A woman with sharp, frantic eyes appeared, scanning every face. When her gaze fell upon the girl, she froze. The child froze too, then cried out, "Mama." The reunion was raw and chaotic. Tears, embraces, sobs of explanation. The mother had been lost in despair, trapped by poverty and fear, unable to reach the police. But now, she was here. Diep stood still, torn between relief and loss. She had promised the girl she would never leave her. And yet, now she had to let go. That night, her house felt unbearably silent. She reached instinctively for the small body that had slept beside her for so many nights, but found only emptiness. Tears slipped down her cheeks, tears for the child, and for the cruel reminder of life's impermanence. When James called, she told him everything. Her voice trembled, but beneath it was relief. Relief that the girl was safe. Relief that she had kept her promise. Aftermath and resolve. Diep poured her strength into James's mother, visiting often, bringing fruit and company. She told herself that when James returned, they would build something lasting, strong enough to endure storms. And yet, even as she whispered these promises, she knew the world rarely allowed permanence. What remained was not certainty, but resilience, the resilience of a woman who had carried both her own burdens and those of a child who stumbled into her arms.